And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on air host, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to welcome back to the show the incredible award winning author, Tracy Clark, who's here to give us the inside scoop about her brand new red hot book, Hide. Tracy, welcome back to Mystery and Thriller Ravens. Tell us about Hide.
Hi, Sarah. Thanks for having me. First off, Hide is a sort of a classic police procedural. It features Harriet Foster, detective of our homicide team in the city of Chicago. And when we meet Harriet, she's sort of coming off sort of a weird time for her personally. And her first case in her new station with her new team, with her new boss, is a serial killer who is hunting the streets of Chicago, preying on redheaded women. And so this is her first case. She's probably not ready for it, but that's the case she's got. And then we follow her through to sort of figure out whether or not she can find these people and get these killers to stop doing what they're doing. So that's what Hide is about. The killer is sort of hiding the bodies in sort of weird places, hence the title. But it also sort of pings on Harriet as a character. She's also hiding on a personal level. So it sort of has a double meaning, which I sort of like in terms of title. So that's what Hide is about. So.
Yay. Well, I have a lot of questions and
Right.
I know everyone watching does too. And we're going to get into them in just a minute. I just want to welcome everyone who is watching with us. We're going live to 6 different destinations across Facebook and YouTube. So no matter where you're watching from, friends, you are in the right place. It is the right time. It is Mystery Monday. And because Mondays can be murder, we are going to make them a little less painful by talking about great books. So you know the drill if you've been here before. And if you're new, welcome. We're so happy to have you. Here's the skinny. If you have any questions for Tracy about Hide, about her new character, kicking off a new series with this detective, Harriet Foster, just get the questions going in the comments. I'll get them right over to her. Julie, welcome to the conversation. She is saying, hi, Sarah and Tracy. Hi, Julie. Great to see your name pop up. Erin, welcome to the conversation. Hi, Sarah and Tracy. Hide is incredible. I like your profile picture there. It looks like you're hobnobbing with some authors at VoucherCon, I think. Let us know. Catch a Clue, aka Wendy, saying, hi, Sarah and Tracy. Hi, Wendy. Great to see your name pop up. We have a mystery user saying, hello from Hull, Massachusetts. I loved Hide.
Oh, thank you.
Yay. Well, I can't wait to get into what we all loved about Hide and what anyone who hasn't read it yet, questions about it, about the book and about Tracy's writing process. So I'm going to kick, while you're all typing, your little fingers flying on the keyboard, I'm going to ask Tracy some questions of my own. So Tracy, you're kicking off a new series. You're introducing us to this new detective, Harriet Foster. She is struggling, coming off of a great personal loss, the loss of her son. And she's trying to claw her way through that and the loss of her partner. She's trying to integrate into a whole new department. She's got a lot on her plate. And now this guy is this killer is terrorizing redheaded women. So first of all, Tracy, we know you love Chicago. We know you love the city, but why redheads? What made you think of that?
I don't know. They're sort of rare, aren't they? They're not just sort of an everyday sort of a thing. It's sort of a rare occurrence. So a killer sort of targeting redheads, I mean, he really has to sort of be committed, doesn't he? So he's got to search these people out. So it just sort of came to me sort of as a spark. Then it sort of got more interesting as the story sort of developed. And so, yeah, I think it's sort of a weird angle for a killer to take. I mean, out of all the people that he could choose for whatever reason, he's going to focus in on the rarest genetic thing that they can find, and then that's his thing. That's his niche. So I just thought it was a really interesting sort of kink for him to have. So yeah, redheads.
So Tracy, you set your books in Chicago. You're a Chicago Chicagoan.
Yeah, Chicagoan. Yeah.
I don't know what the word is. And you clearly love the city, and the city becomes almost a character in of itself. The setting of the city, the first body's found under a bridge, and then you reference famous statues. Another tourist is photographing something, and something happens to the tourist. So why when you and then you also reference the vibe of Chicago battling some violence right now.
Mhm.
Tell us about your relationship with the city and the city as a character.
Well, Chicago is sort of cool because it's sort of together and also segmented. There are 77 neighborhoods in Chicago. Each one of them is different. It has a different sound, a different smell, a different vibe. So I live here. I kind of like the city. I sort of know it, sort of underbelly of it. Not not completely, but I don't think you can sort of completely know what your city is about. But I don't know enough to sort of know where the areas are, to know where a body can go. So when I sort of wanted to write Hyde, I wanted to sort of show it off, the city of Chicago, but also sort of look at the underbelly of it, the sort of where people don't look, where they don't walk, where they don't tour, sort of Lower Wacker next to the garbage bins, where it's sort of smelly and stinky and smells like sour milk. That's the nitty gritty stuff. So I'm looking for the areas like that for Hyde. So yeah, so the city has a lot to offer. We've got the glitz, and we also have the crime, and it's sort of a complicated issue, crime here in Chicago. There are several factors for it, several reasons, and the approach of how we sort of deal with it is different depending on who you talk to. So the bureaucrats have their sort of opinion about what crime is and how to tackle it, and then the citizens who live here sort of know what the problems are and have different opinion. So it's sort of interesting to sort of incorporate both of those things within a crime novel, within a city that is complicated, with neighborhoods that are different and smell different, and sort of bring all of that sort of melting things together and sort of put a novel in there, and with all that confusion and all that conflict and all that mix. So, yeah, so we have characters, we have setting, we have the issues, we have the underbelly, we have the smells and the sights and all of that, and it's all just a good sort of mix.
I love that. So Tracy, the smells,
Yeah.
the settings. So when were you? Let's talk about your research. Were you under that bridge,
Yep.
smelling it? Were you in
Yep.
the alley by the trash bins?
Yep.
Getting a
Yep.
good whiff, and then
Yeah.
saying, "Spill," sour milk.
Yeah, as I walk through the city, as I often do, not so much anymore because of the pandemic, because we're all working from home. But I would smell. It's not only what you see, but what you smell, what you feel. I have walked those streets in Lower Wacker. I have had a rat sort of run across the tops of my shoes. Walking, yeah, yeah, that's what we do. That's what we do here in Chicago. So yeah, I have had those experiences. And unless you sort of walk the streets and know where the nooks and crannies are, and know that those dumpsters are there, and know that that's where the rats are, and know that it smells like sour milk and cabbage or whatever it does, then you sort of put it in there, and it's there when you need it. I'm a pantser, so I don't have an outline. I don't know where this story is going when I start. But as I'm putting these bodies there, I know where that street is, and I know what it smells like. I know what it sounds like. I know what kind of traffic goes through the streets. I've been there. So that river walk where I put the first body, I have walked there numerous times. I walked it again before I sort of started the book, just to see what had changed since the last time I'd been there, and what was there, how the fence was configured, whether or not there were gaps in it, and there are. And so, that's stuff you need. That's sort of information that you need to use when you sort of hit that page.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I love that. And Nisa Joy, welcome to the conversation, saying, I know where to hide the bodies in Chicago. I love that. Yes, indeed. So, Tracy, let's talk about why you hid the bodies where you did. Why did you put that first body under the bridge? And what made, let's start there. And then I also want to talk about your research. What made you think about a killer, what kind of a killer would want to hide in there, with the leaves and stuff.
Well, I put it on the Riverwalk because that's sort of a public place, right? It's on the city's front room, so to speak. It's right off Michigan Avenue, where everything is glitzy. You've got the skyline there and little skyscrapers. And then there's this sort of under area with their restaurants on the other side of the river, but this sort of pedestrian walk. And then to sort of put something dramatically there to sort of offset that. So we have glitzy, front room, everybody's tourist attraction, and then something that you don't expect. And that's where I put the first body. I thought it was kind of cool.
It was very cool. Now, what had never thought that about a killer. Your research process is clearly very thorough. Like when I read this book, which by the way, I devoured it. You can see it is well loved because I've been holding it and reading it and just devouring it. You all of that research and your familiarity with the setting, the smells, the sights, the deep intrinsic connection that you have to your city and that therefore your characters have to your city and the setting of it. You feel that viscerally. You also feel, this is your first detective, Harriet Foster, but not your first detective. And you feel, Tracy, your familiarity with police, police stations, interrogation rooms, the battered desks, the whiteboards, the smell of burnt coffee. And I was like, oh, I could smell it, as I was reading it. So clearly you spent some time with police and with forensic psychologists, I would guess, because you went pretty deep into the psyche of this killer. Let's talk about that.
Well, you know what? I don't have a plan. Like I said, I'm not a police officer. I've never been in that role, but I know some. So when I sort of write and I sort of run into a problem, and as I often do, I just sort of ask. Police officers love to talk. They have wonderful stories, and I have police officers that I can ask. So when I sort of put that crime scene there, and I needed to know who touched the body first and what happens after this happens, and blah blah blah, then you just ask. And I write until I get stuck again. Which will probably be the next day. And then I do the same thing. So that's how I go through the whole thing. And I just sort of ask questions. That's all you can do. I don't do a lot of research. I've never been in a police station. I've never been arrested. I've never been in an interrogation room. I've never had that experience. I've never even seen an interview room. Fortunately, unless you sort of know somebody who can sort of walk you through that thing, they don't let you. There's not any tours that you can go through and say, "Oh, here's interview 3." You have. So I sort of make those things up. That's what the imagination's for. And then you sort of want to make it feel authentic. So that's when the questions come in, and you ask what it's. I actually asked the police officer, "What does an interview room smell like?" And it smells like perspiration, desperation, and. That's what it smells like, a stuffy little old room with no windows in it, and people who are sort of sweating it out, waiting for the cops to come in. So you sort of imagine everything else. Just that's what you do. And that's how I kind of do it.
I love that you asked him what it smells like.
What does it smell like? Yeah.
Yeah, because I actually thought you must have had someone, who let you sit in, Tracy, because it's so.
It's not like I didn't ask. I did ask. Apparently, that's not something they do.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, we have so many cool questions coming in, so I want to get to all of them. So I'm going to just scroll back up here. Oh my gosh, we've got some good questions. I can't wait to hear your answers to these. Okay, so first off, Erin is sharing that was Dennis Lehane at BoucherCon. She says she was excited and nervous to talk to him at BoucherCon, but he was so nice. Well, I'm so glad to hear that, and I love your profile picture there. Clearly, you are a mystery lover, and you're in the right place. Anissa is saying she is joining us from South Carolina, and she is here for this conversation. Yay! We're so happy to have you, Anissa. Erin would like to know, Tracy, will there be any crossover from Cass's Chicago PD, Cass being Tracy's last character series, Cass Rains, private investigator, and Harriet's? Great question, Erin.
That is a great question. I don't have any plans for it, but it might be a nice short story, wouldn't it? I might sort of look at that. Yeah, that's a good idea, Erin.
Oh, maybe you should.
That'd be cool.
Include Erin in your acknowledgments if you do that, Tracy.
I certainly will. Yeah, that'd be a good short story to have.
Oh my gosh! Or it would be just so cool to see Cass popping up
They'd probably kill each other, but it'd be fun sort of watching.
in Cass popping up in Harriet's world, Harriet popping up in Cass's world. Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Diane is joining us from YouTube. She says, "Good evening, Sarah. Good evening, Tracy. Hi. So great to see you pop up there, Diane." And she has a question. She would like to know, Tracy, do you have any writing rituals? If so, what are they? Great question.
Well, I'm come from a journalism background, so I don't have a lot of rituals. I just sort of get the job done. I do have one little thing I have. I sort of eat Twizzlers as I write, which I have one here, left over from this morning. 5:30 to 8, 5:30 to 8 is my writing time. That's all I have because I have my day job. So at 8 o'clock, I have my bowl of Cheerios and I swivel over to my day job. And if I have any ideas about the book I'm writing, I sort of write it on a post-it note and put it on my laptop, and it's waiting for me at 5:30 the next morning. But that's how I have to do it. So every day, 5:30 to 8, that's when I write, and hopefully something good will come out as I'm doing that. I have my Twizzlers and my V8, my glass of V8 in the morning, and that's my thing. I don't do a lot of fancy things. I don't have to circle my desk 3 times or swing a chicken over my head. I just sort of sit down at my desk and my laptop with an idea, and then I whatever comes out for that 2.5 hours, that's what I got for the day, and then that's how I do it. Pick my way all the way through to the end.
So first of all, I love Twizzlers too. And I'm going to need to know, like, is it that you eat them as a reward, like one page, one Twizzler, yum, 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 yum? Or is it like, oh,
No,
that's a good scene? Or do you just constantly mow the whole bag as you go?
I
I
eat
need to
I
know.
eat a little bit as I write. So, you nibble. Let's see how big it is. This is the half one left from this morning, but the whole one. So by the time you get to the end, right? By the time you get to the end, hopefully you've got something good.
Oh,
So
so there's only one Twizzler per
one
session.
twist, yeah. So
Oh, so if you're having a tough day, there's never a 2 Twizzler day.
there has been a 3 Twizzler today. But it just depends on what you're writing, where you are, where I am stuck, because again, I don't have an outline. So if days are going smoothly, I might not even need a Twizzler. I mean, it might just sort of fly to that 2.5 hours. If it does not, the Twizzlers are here, and I do not limit myself. Whatever I need to do to get that 2.5 hours in, that's what I do.
I love it. Diane is saying red Twizzlers, absolutely, and chocolate Twizzlers, delish. I've never had the chocolate one. I've only had the red
I can
ones.
only do strawberry. Can't do cherry. I can't do chocolate. It's got to be strawberry Twizzlers. Just the original. That's
Okay,
me.
okay. I'm seeing there are some Twizzler rules that I that I did not know
Keep it
about.
simple. Keep it simple.
And Diana saying, "Whoo, go Tracy! Talk about dedication." Absolutely, absolutely. And Nisa says, since setting is so important to this book, did you start with the setting, or the characters, or the plot? Great question.
Good question. I start with an idea of what the case is going to be about, the murder, okay, a body. And I also start with characters because my stuff is mostly character driven. So I have to have a character whose shoulders I can sort of sit on and sort of go through the story. So Hyde started with the body on the Riverwalk, and then whoever the investigators are going to be. And it took quite a while for me to sort of find Harriet after sort of having the other series. I had a PI who was sort of, loosey goosey with the rules and, breaking into people's offices and doing all that little weird stuff PIs do. But Harriet is the law. She has to follow the law. And I sort of had to learn what police officers do when they do it, how much they can do, how much they can't. So that took quite a while to sort of get in that sort of frame of mind, to sort of limit myself to just the facts, ma'am, and not all the loosey goosey stuff. So I found Harriet. I put that body there, and then most crime novels sort of follow a linear process, breadcrumb by breadcrumb, lead by lead, and so it's sort of easy to sort of go along those lines. So she had the body, she has the case, she has the team, she has what she's bringing to it, and then you just sort of follow it through. So through Harriet's eyes, we find out what happens when those bodies start to fall.
Yes, we do. When those bodies start to fall, absolutely. Erin is saying she cannot stop at just one Twizzler. I know. I was actually thinking that, but I was kind of embarrassed to say. I was like, "Who eats one Twizzler?" I was like, "One bag, yes, but one
Well,
Twizzler, you're just like a tiny little rabbit just eating
when you
one
sort of
bite."
get engrossed in it, one is all you might need. I mean, it's just enough to sort of get your brain sort of going.
Okay. Feeding the brain with Twizzlers.
Feeding the brain with Twizzlers.
Diana's saying it's chocolate and strawberry for her. I'm strawberry and cherry, y'all. I like anything red. And Diana's saying, thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Sarah, for answering her questions. Of course, that's what we're all about here, connecting people, having a conversation. Julie wants to know, how far in advance do you have the other books planned out? Yeah, so this is your first detective, Harriet Foster. Are you going to keep on with tell us all the things. Are you going to keep on with Cass Raines, private detective, private investigator? Are you going to, how far down the path are you seeing that? What about Harriet? How far down the path of that? Where you got to orient us here, Tracy. Give us.
All right, let's see. The second book in the series for Harriet is called Fall, and that's out in December. The same team, same group of people, new case. In this one, someone is killing aldermen in the city of Chicago, and Harriet and her team have to figure out who's doing that. But I don't have a plan. Again, I don't plan anything. I just sort of hit that blank page and see what comes out. I have a sort of inkling of what the thing might be about, but then I have to sort of pick my way through. Thomas and Mercer sort of asked for a third book in this series. So after Fall, there will be another Harriet, and we'll see what happens to her and her team after that. I don't know what the case is at this point. I'm sort of still thinking about what that might be. We'll see what happens. See whatever spark comes into my head as I sort of get closer to sort of planning that thing out. And then we'll see. So at least 3 books in this series, 4 in the cast, and there may be a 5th at some point. We'll see, hopefully. But, that's what I'm doing. I'm just sort of, writing my way.
Writing your way through.
Writing my way through.
Julia is saying it takes a lot of creativity to be a pantser. I think, yes, absolutely. Erin is saying the cover of Fall is phenomenal. Oh my gosh, I got to go research this cover. I'll pull it up in a minute. Let's go back to Julie's question about a comment about creativity. Tracy, do you consider yourself a creative person, or like you said before, you're a journalist? You just get the job done. Well, what's your relationship to creativity and just getting versus journalism, just getting the job done?
Well, I think I am sort of kind of a creative person. I mean, you sort of are building a book world, aren't you? These people don't exist in the real world. They come out of your head. So they're there somewhere. You have to sort of pick them out. I think that's creativity, sort of imagination, and sort of getting all that stuff percolating and on the page. So I would say that I'm a semi-creative person on most days. And I just sort of think that that's my thing. Some people are born dentists. Some people are born writers. I mean, you just sort of have a natural inclination for telling stories and creating people where there aren't any. So yeah, I would classify it as creativity and imagination and, weirdness. Just weirdness.
Oh, Tracy Clark, weird.
Just a weird pantser.
Weird. Erin is saying she would like to see Ben and Harriet in the same book.
Oh, you're just looking for these mashups, aren't you, Erin? That might be good too. I mean, if we're putting Cass and Harriet together, then Ben would certainly have to come with Cass. So yeah, I can see that happening.
Ooh, I'm excited. And I can't wait to see Erin in the acknowledgments, and we'll know that it all happened right here on Mystery and Thriller Mavens, y'all. Diane wants to know, how do you celebrate on release day and week? And also, how do you decompress when you finish a book? Yeah, because Tracy, it's so much. I mean, especially you're writing from 5:30 to 8, then you're working your day job, then you're back at your computer, back at your desk, 5:30 to 8. How do you celebrate? How do you decompress? Give us a scoop.
I don't think I do much of celebrating. I just sort of glad it's out there. Sort of letting your baby sort of get out of the house. So you're excited to sort of see it hit the streets. But a lot of stuff comes after that. So you have to do the launch, and you have to sort of go out there and sell it, and make sure that people know it's out there and sort of help it along. And that's the business side of it. So you're glad it's out. You're glad you're done with it, because by that point you've read it I don't know how many times, and you're sick of it personally. I mean, you just don't want to see it again. So it's out there, it's out of your hands, and then you are on to the next thing, right? Because you still have a deadline for the next one. So that was kind of like it was for Hyde. I mean, it's out there, launch day, yay, it's wonderful. It's out there, the book baby's gone. And then you have revisions for the book that comes out the next year. So it's kind of like making donuts at the Dunkin' Donuts place. It's always time to make the donuts. So, there's not a lot of time to sort of kick back and sort of, sigh or anything like that. You still have something else to do. So it's good. But then you have to sort of quickly move on to the next thing.
Absolutely. We have a mystery user who would like to know, did you consult with the Chicago PD or ever hang out at a precinct to get that flavor?
I did not hang out at the precinct, but I do consult with detectives all the time. We get stuck all the time because I don't know what they do. I've never been a cop.
Mm,
So I ask. That's where the questions come in. I have a couple of police officers in my family, friends of friends. So when I get stuck, and I often do, I would just sort of text or pick up the phone or send an email. What would you do in this situation?
mm.
What happens here? Who takes it from that? What would you do in this? What happens in an interview room? What does it smell like? Stuff like that. So I ask, and cops love to talk, as I said. They will talk your ear off if you let them. So which is a good thing for writers. Just if you know a cop, tag a cop. You cannot go. You cannot go wrong.
Well, thank you for sharing the magic behind the mystery. Oh, and our mystery user is revealing that she is Marcy McCreary. She's not sure why her name's not showing up. Facebook has so many crazy privacy rules now, Marcy. No worries at all. Thank you for revealing your identity, staying hidden no longer. Speaking of hidden, y'all, Hide is out now. Grab your copy from our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore, Murder by the Book. And here is that link. No matter where you're watching from, on Facebook and YouTube, click and order. You guys, I loved this book. I love a police procedural. I like to feel like I am, little known fact, Tracy doesn't know this yet, but I am Harriet's partner. I'm her secret partner and best friend, and we work together. So I am on the beat with her solving this mystery. And it's so fun because you're getting the clues and you're racing the pages and racing Harriet to try to figure this out. I did not figure it out. Harriet's smarter than me, so she figured it out first. But you guys, that's what I love about police procedurals, is that you're on the beat, you're in the solving the mystery too. And so grab your copy and you too can solve the mystery. There again is link. Okay, so Tracy, tell us a little bit about when you're planning out your next book. You said you start with an idea, a case, a body. What inspires you? Are you reading the news? Are you thinking about old cold cases? What revs that creativity for you?
It could be anything. With Hyde, it was just a location. I thought of the river walk and how public it is, and then what would happen if something that shouldn't be public is in a public place. So that's where it started. Then the character came, and I needed her, and that sort of augmented that. So sometimes it starts with character, sometimes it starts with place. I find an interesting place that might be a good spot for something to happen. It just depends. For the last book that I did, the idea for that sort of came from a small newspaper article about runaways. Didn't amount to much as I read it, but it sort of stuck with me in my head. So when I sort of looked around for an idea for the next book, runaways seemed like a nice topic to sort of look into. And then a little research had to sort of follow that. But that's how that book sort of germinated. I mean, it just can start anywhere. Anywhere you go, anybody you talk to, anything you see or listen or hear. So it just depends. I wish I could sort of have a process. I don't. I just sort of, I need a book. The book is there. My deadline's looming. I need an idea. I need a body. I need a case. And I just sort of come up with something and hope it works. And if it doesn't, I go back and delete and start again. And if it does, hey, I'm ahead of the game. And then I can just keep going forward. So, it's a weird way of writing. It's probably not the easiest way. It's probably a stupid way, really, when you think about it. I mean, who starts a book with absolutely no plan? But that's how my brain has to work, and that's how I get it done. So, luckily for me, knock wood, it seems to be working okay.
Well, it sure does. Let's take a peek at some of the amazing reviews that your book has gotten. Kirk is raving. A Chicago cop still mourning her late partner transfers to a new precinct just in time to catch a truly creepy case. Solid work from a writer who knows the dark side of the Windy City. Congratulations on that rave review from Kirkus. And Publishers Weekly also chiming in. Detective Harriet Foster's dogged approach to catching killers will resonate with Michael Connelly fans. high praise, Tracy. May
Oh.
the wait for the second Harriet Foster police procedural be brief. And now we know it is going to be brief. It's only 11 more months until December. Yay. And they're not the only ones raving. Let's pop up Jess Lowry. I'm just going to pop it up very briefly because it's a big one. Hyde is an astonishing crime novel that broke my heart and then sewed it back together again stronger than before. It hits all the right notes. A captivating protagonist up against a nightmarish serial killer. Their hunt played out across Chicago, so immersive, so flawlessly rendered that you can hear your own footsteps slapping the streets while managing to create something completely unique. One of the best books I've read in years. Amazing review from
Wonderful.
Jess Lowry, the Amazon charts topping author. And then she's not the only one. Laurie Day Raider saying Tracy Clark's not so hidden talent is for conjuring characters who are engaging and achingly real. Detective Harriet Foster is a stellar recruit to her new team and to our crime fiction shelves. Hyde is a page turner with heart. Wow. And so deserved, Tracy. I can't tell you. I just, I love all your books. I've had you here 3 or 4 times and I think this is your best book yet. I absolutely loved it. And I'm recommending it to everyone.
Thank you so much.
So y'all, here's the link one more time because we are out of time, but grab your copy now. You too will want to immerse yourself in the world of Detective Harriet Foster and Chicago. So here's the link one more time. Tracy, thank you so much for coming back to Mystery and Thriller Ravens, giving us the scoop on your creative process, your Twizzler addiction, one Twizzler at a time. Harriet Foster, all the things. Y'all, thank you for joining me for Mystery Monday, and I'll be back at the top of the hour with Jane Harper, live from Australia. You're not going to want to miss that. Tracy, come back when your next Detective Harriet Foster is out. I loved it, and I can't wait to read it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Oh, Wendy is saying thank you, Sarah, and Tracy. Diane saying thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Tracy. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all for joining us, and I will see you soon.
Bye-bye.